Hey guys, Jeremy S from T-Tag, thetruthaboutguns.com here, out in the woods in Idaho as usual. You ready? Well, that is a good start to today's test, which is the new ammunition from Gorilla, the Silverback line of solid copper hollow point self-defense stuff. I have a bunch of 9mm here, a bunch of 380. We're going to compare these to some of the other hollow points on the market, but I'm glad to see that they run. I've got a Glock 19 to show a defensive use gun with a big old chamber that'll chamber and run anything, obviously. I have the Dan Wesson Discretion, which is a 9mm 1911 with a really tight match chamber. So far, obviously, we're running these big giant hollow points, no problem out of the Discretion. And I have a Taurus TCP, their pocket 380. We're gonna see how the 380 does out of this guy. So far, so good. And of course, a CZ Scorpion Evo. We're gonna run all these to make sure they're reliable. We're gonna look at them compared to some of the other popular hollow points on the market. And I brought some giant jugs of water. I'm hoping I can shoot it into that and catch a couple of bullets so we can see what they look like expanded. Let's do it.
So these are CNC lathe turned solid copper hollow points. There's our 115 grain 9mm. 135 grain 9mm. You can see this has a different design to it than the 115. Has that sort of cut or indent partially up the bullet. And then here is the 380. It's a 95 grain. Also has that dent on the bullet. And for little 380s, that is a big hollow point. About as close to the flying ashtray as I've ever seen from a 380. Gorilla also does a Silverback line and 45 ACP and 300 Blackout. Here's a couple of other 380 hollow points to compare it to. On the left, that's a Federal Hydroshock. On the far right, that's a Fiocchi with an XTP hollow point bullet in it. And in the middle is the Gorilla. Okay, I had a few more laying around for 9mm. Left to right, that's Federal HST 147 grain, then Remington HTP High Terminal Performance 147 grain, then Winchester Defend 147 grain, and then we have the Gorilla 115 grain, next to the Gorilla 135 grain, followed by an IMI, Israel Military Industries. This is their X-Star 115 grain, and on the far right there's a Fiocchi with the XTP bullet.
Alright, before we get into the fun stuff, we're going to continue with a little bit more reliability testing. I have the 135 grain Subsonics loaded up. Got 5 in the Scorpion here. The Scorpion has run everything. I've put at least 10, I think, brands of hollow points through it, and it's run them all. It doesn't matter the weight, doesn't matter how big the hollow point is, it runs it fine. The Dan Wesson Discretion, on the other hand, is a little bit more discretionary about what it will eat. I'm going to swap the can across and try the subs in this as well. Nice, and it's quiet. Mystic X over onto the Discretion. Alright, 10 of the 135s are loaded. No ears on. Hopefully this guy stays nice and quiet as well. Oh yeah. Beauty. So, ran like a champ in a gun that's a little bit picky. And running the Evo 2, of course. I know it's going to run in the Glock, so I'm going to call it good on the 135s running in these two guns. Just load up 5 of the 115s. I know these will run. They're a slightly shorter bullet, so they're going to be a little bit easier to chamber. I'm not sure if the me-plat, the nose of the bullet, is narrower or not. And you can hear that thing is breaking the sound barrier like crazy, way, way louder. But again, 100% reliability, 100% function out of this discretion, which, like I said, has rejected reloads and other rounds. Runs everything factory so far that I've tried, but not reloads, and it's a little bit picky, and it's running this stuff great, so that's a good sign. Okay, ear protection is back in. I've loaded up a full magazine, that's 6, plus 1 in the chamber, that's 7, into the Taurus TCP. And I should say, these 380 rounds, they look cool. They look kind of weird. They are a little shorter than usual. That can actually help with chambering in a lot of guns, especially with a big hollow point on them. But of course, I care about my little TCP here. No problems. I'm gonna finish off this box of 20 while I have it out here. And then let's hook up the chronograph, see what kind of readings we get out of, I can't do 380, I don't have the chrono for that. I have my magnetospeed chronograph. I'll put it on the rail of these other guns, see what kind of velocities we get out of the 9mm stuff, see how consistent it is, if it's really, really consistent like the rest of Guerrilla's loadings are. So far, so good. Okay, first up I have the magnetospeed mounted to the Dan Wesson Discretion with the rail mount for pistols. Didn't quite work on the Glock 19. You know, Glocks have a slightly weird rail that's not quite square. So we're going to test it out just with this guy with his approximately 5-inch barrel. I already fired one just to make sure everything was calibrated correctly. The distance from this and the sensitivity matters for catching a caliber hollow point. Worked great off the bat, as the magnetospeed usually has. So we have 992 feet per second out of that. I'm going to do 4 more so we get a total of 5. We see how consistent this 135 grain stuff is. That was 1,011, 1,017, 1,006, 1,005. Super consistent, except for that first one. So let's do one more just to see. First could have been a fluke getting things warmed up. 1,013. So yeah, this is really consistent stuff, as I would expect from Guerrilla. We have maximum of 1,017, minimum of 992, because that first one was lower than the rest, and that may have been, I did it like 5 minutes before these other 5, I don't know. Average 1,007 feet per second, which is solidly subsonic, and standard deviation of 8.7. That's really small, especially with that one slight outlier. So I'm going to go ahead and clear all this data out, load up the 115 grain, and put 5 of those guys through. 1180, 1184, 1191, 1192, and 1188. Max 1,192 feet per second, minimum 1,180, average 1,187, standard deviation of 5.0. That is some consistent ammo. So I'm always curious about velocities out of the CZ Scorpion Evo with the suppressor on it. Scorpion has, it's over 7-inch barrel, 7.2, 7.8, something like that. Alright, if you stuck with me so far through the boring stuff, now's the payoff. Let's get the water jugs out there and see if we can capture one of these bullets. 95 grain Guerrilla, solid copper hollow point, 380 ACP. I'm going to get really close because these are the only ones I have. I don't want to miss, and I want to put this kind of through the top. Hopefully I can contain some of the water to use for another test, just in case. So I'm going to stay close, and yeah, I'm going to get wet. I'm going to actually lay down on the ground here. There we go. And we're in.
And we dented the second bucket, but not actually into the second one. Looks like it just cracked the first one. So that's cool. We've got a 380 bullet inside this first jug. Before I go fishing for that bad boy, I'm gonna put a 135 grain 9mm into the second bucket. I just moved the first one out of the way. About 5 feet away from the muzzle of my gun to the first jug. Woo! Much more impact than the 380, obviously, as the lid blew off of that bucket, but I'm not sure we're into the second one. Oh yeah. Yeah, we are. Definitely into the second bucket. But, oh, there's a little crack on the top. I think it's fair to say we are inside of that bucket with the bullet, or at least most of the bullet. Why do I keep calling these jugs buckets? I don't know. Dent there, maybe a fragment made it out. I will look for that. In the meantime. All right, Gorilla designs this 115 grain for deeper penetration to meet FBI spec, and let's see what it'll do through water. If we still have jugs left after this, I'm gonna shoot a Federal HST through it, see how these guys compare to my carry load of the past, I don't know, 5-6 years or whatever. Gorilla 115 Silverback. Ah! Wow, I am wet. I just took a bath. Holy crap. Frick. That was cold water. But wow, we can see 115 transferred a lot more energy. Split that first bucket wide open. And, you know, I'm not sure it's in that second bucket. Maybe some chunks made it in. Definitely fine on the back of this one. Yeah. Let's do a Federal HST on the last 3 here, and then we'll fish them all out. So when I pick up that second bucket from the 115 grain Gorilla that's still weeping over there, I could hear the bullet sloshing around the bottom, rolling around. So I know what's in there. We've got 147 grain Federal HST standard pressure loaded up. Let's see if we can keep it in these 3. And the ground is wet. Be a little farther away from this one so I don't get soaked. Oh, frick. All right, now I'm still about 5 feet-ish. Holy shit. Lost the top on 2. Knocked over the third, but it did not go into this one. I do, however, oh, this is cool. Let me grab the camera. That is freaking sweet. Haha, I've never seen anything like that. Easy penetration on that first one, of course. Into the second one. Kind of a star hole from an expanded hollow point. Exit, and then into this last one. That is a star-shaped hollow point impression on the last jug. How funny is that? So I'm going to assume it's still here. Yeah, it didn't actually break out of this one at all. That's just a star-shaped impression on the far side of the second jug. Oh man, that is freaking funny. I think I know what that bullet's gonna look like in there. All right, well, I'm out here, so I've got some jugs left. How could I not? I only had some crappy 223 ammo. I don't have any hollow point stuff, no like self-defense stuff.
I have the first round is Wolf. It's 223 from Wolf with the 62 grain metal core bullet. So it's kind of like your M855, but not loaded quite as hot. That's what I have. Let's see what a 223 will do. And for this one, going back a little bit farther, about 25 feet. Ooh, and it is raining mist. Surprised it didn't split open. Actually, look at that. Little teeny hole in the front, little hole in the rear. Just went clean through that first bucket. Looks like it was tumbling. If this is the second bucket, was it? Not sure. Probably have a better idea than me at this point. Right out the back, definitely tumbling. That's a sideways bullet cut on the bottom there. And then, I don't know which was third and fourth. Looks like a tumble into this guy. Oh, we split it out. Interesting. No exit wound. But I don't know if that was the last one or the third one or what. Oh man. Look at that mark. That is cool. That is from one of the gorillas. I didn't see that before. Slick. Alright. Probably goes without saying that I was hoping that would work, but I gotta say this far exceeded my expectations. I was worried that I wouldn't capture these, I don't know, but I did. From left to right, that is 95 grain 380, 135 grain 9mm, 115 grain 9mm, Federal HST 147 grain, and there's your 62 grain 223. The 223 got flattened out, but didn't suffer much damage. Just a slight curve to it. I'm kind of surprised to find that it didn't bend into a banana shape or actually crink in half, but it is a steel core. Federal HST looks awesome. Exactly like you would expect a Federal HST to look, basically regardless of what it shot through. We move on to the 115 grain 9mm, which as you can see is longer than the 135 because it did not open up as much, and that is by design. It's designed to penetrate more deeply. And our 380 carried a little plug of green plastic with it. It opened up right on those lines in the copper, exactly how it's supposed to. It folded down exactly on those dents. And that is what the 135 grain 9mm did as well. The cavity on the 115 isn't as deep and doesn't have those dents, so it didn't behave exactly the same way, and of course it's not supposed to. HST, which is not a bonded bullet. The lead and the jacket are separate. Somehow it never separates though, or almost never separates. And check out this sweet souvenir. Nice little hollow point piece of plastic. I think that came off of the 115. Lines right up with the thing. Isn't that cool? Well, that's a wrap on Gorilla Ammo's Silverback line, or at least the 9mm and 380. Eventually I'd like to check out the 45 and the 300 Blackout, both the subsonic and supersonic 300 Blackout, and that supersonic is an 85 grain. It's got to be a total screamer. Great for hunting apparently, with excellent penetration. I would love to test that someday, and I'll get my hands on it soon. As for 9mm 380, I'm impressed with how they run. Reliable on all these guns. They feed very, very easily. If I let the slide home slowly, they feed very nicely up and into the chamber. They don't have a lot of blast, concussion, no fire that I could see, and that's great obviously for self-defense. I know they're using flash suppressed powder, and you know, what am I taking home in my Glock 19 that I'm carrying? It's the Federal HST, the 147 grain. Not because I wasn't impressed with the performance of these, but I'm waiting for Shooting the Bull 410 and TN Outdoors 9 to do some testing so I can make a more informed decision on how it works through denim and into gel. Now, even though Gorilla isn't a major company like Federal, maybe because they're not a major company and they're making a little bit less ammo, a lower volume of it, I trust their quality control. They have these awesome laser measurement systems that measure these down to the 10,000th of an inch to make sure that all of the dimensions are proper. They're measuring and ensuring that the powder load in each of these bullets is within 1/10 of a grain. I like the nickel plated cases, and overall I like the QC and the quality that comes out of Gorilla and always have. These rounds were shooting accurately for me, reliably. I don't know what more you can ask for except for some proof that it works great for self-defense, at least as good as we can get, which is guys like shooting the bull, shooting it through denim and other barriers and into gel. And when I see that, I very well may switch to Gorilla Silverback as my carry load. Hope the video was helpful. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the terrible videos that I make. Check out TTAG, thetruthaboutguns.com for more information. I hope to see you guys in the woods here next time.